Welcome to the Model Rail Replacement Podcast, helping you get to your onward journey. A friendly service that helps you get from A to B, or probably nowhere at all.
Well, here we are again. It's the Model Rail Replacement Podcast. I'm your host, James, and with me is my co-host and producer,
Sam. Hello, everyone.
threw you there because I did a different intro, didn't I?
Well, I think you did our traditional intro, but last time you just said you weren't talking to me, so I wasn't really prepared for that.
Oh, yeah,
So
here we go. Yeah. Oh, let's just mention that again, shall we? Let's just bring that up. Oh, I got nominated for Horby Magazine Awards. At least they're following us on Instagram now. That's nice, isn't it? So they know I exist. So next year,
they know I run a podcast.
or is it because everyone thinks that we are the same person? Is that what the problem is? Well, I'll tell you what, Horby Magazine, we will prove you wrong by coming to your very own show and showing that there are, in fact, two individual people that make this podcast.
Yeah. James and I are going to actually be in the same room for the first time this year.
I haven't seen you in a while.
I'm trying to remember the last time I saw you. I definitely saw you.
Might have been when you come over my house, wasn't it? Talking about that.
Yeah, but I think that was last October, November. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, we haven't seen each other for a year. Oh, I don't know when that was. Anyway, James and I haven't seen each other face to face for a very long time. Anyway, how are you, James?
Well, we seem to be going very much off topic tonight, don't we? It's taken us 45 minutes to start recording, so this is going to be a long night. But yeah, I'm good. I wanted to get back on the 009, and then obviously I think I've already told everyone, the dining room table, my neighbour's dining room table, and now there's a TT layout that he's building, and so therefore the master has demanded that I have trains running for him, and I'm 4 days over schedule because that should have been Friday. The train should have been running around. I've only got half the track down at the moment, and I'm not happy with one of the curves. So I think I might need to realign something on there. I don't know. It's just taking me longer than. But then, yesterday was the only day it didn't rain, and I had to do the garden because it really needed doing. And then because it took me so long, by the time I'd finished, the tip was closed. So I had to go to the tip today, so I lost a load of time. I don't know, but I do feel like I don't. It's probably my ADHD of procrastinating, but I feel like we'll come in the room to do a job, and an hour and a half later, I still haven't done anything. In fact, that's exactly what I did last night. I came into the model room, I was like, I'm going to do something. And in my mind, I was determined. I was like, I am going to weather a loco. I'm not going to do any kit building or anything like that because I'll just get all distracted and they'll never get anything done. It's just like just weather a loco, start some weathering on a loco, and it took me an hour and a half. And all I did in the end was manage to put a slight weathering on the roof of my E4 before I went, it's probably time to go in now. So this is why I never get anything done. But I'm amazed I finished that Rail 200 project. I really am.
It does look really good, though. So I watched when the episodes came out as quickly as I possibly could because I'm a good friend. I did that. I did the same thing I did with that series as I did with your Ford Din Rid. I then went back to the beginning of it and just rewatched the whole thing again because I enjoyed it so much. And I think the color palette that you've chosen on yours is lovely. I think the autumnal color palette with the you know the actual name of the color, but it's
Brownie improved engine green.
That's it. Thank you. That anybody who doesn't know is basically more like a sandy brown, and it just looks really nice on there as well. But speaking of Rail 200s, our friend Tom this evening has sent through his Rail 200 project, and that also looks blooming marvelous.
It does, yes. He cheated though. He waited for a really nice sky to take his photos. That was the sky I wanted for mine, and I was just like, I don't think I've got time because obviously I work a lot of night shifts, so trying to have an evening where, and obviously because it keeps raining, so I just took the one opportunity again when it was sunny. I was like, quick, get out, take some photos. But yeah, it looks really good.
I think he even said that he drove out to take the pictures of his as well. He mentioned
did.
that
That's what I wanted to do with mine, but it's more difficult with children because they need bedtimes and feeding and stuff. So it's about this sort of about 6 in the evening when you need to go out and do it. I have other responsibilities, but my photos came out pretty well. I've got a load more that I want to put on Instagram. I will eventually once the competition closes, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't want to give too much away of what I've been working on. But yeah, Tom's looks really good. George has been showing me images of his as well. Our friend George Williamson. His looks really, really good. Although we have a sort of a bit of a shared joke. See, to show me the dock with the crane on it and ask me if it looked like something, and now I can't unsee it. It's a bit of an inside joke that we keep having. But yeah, his is looking really good. So yeah, I've seen at Railway Model have announced that 50 layouts will be invited to the exhibition in the NEC in November. I'm
That's
not
a
sure
lot.
how they're going to get. I know. I don't know how they're going to get them all there. I was like, because I like to go there on the train to avoid the parking because I don't want to spend half my day trying to park, which I found I was doing every time I went in the car, and then you don't really get to enjoy the exhibition because you're sort of rushing around because you've missed half your day. Or you get up really early, as I did one year, and I was so tired, I just didn't enjoy it because I was just knackered. Yeah, so I just like to get the train there, but I don't think I could take that on the train. But I don't know, we'll see. I mean, that's jumping the gun there. I'm just assuming I'm going to get invited. But I've got obviously Lenny done his as well. Bizarrely, when I entered it, the photos didn't go through. So they emailed me today, and I thought they'd wanted the photos for mine, but they said no, mine had gone through. But it was Lenny's that they wanted because also done it from the same email. So I'm not sure what's happening there. But yeah, if you are entering the competition, just be a bit wary of the website because I found it a bit glitchy when using it on a tablet. Maybe it's different on a desktop, but on the tablet it wasn't playing ball. Yeah, I wouldn't want anyone to miss out on being entered and putting all that hard work in for a glitchy computer. Just a bit of advice there. But yeah, there's lots of. I've seen other people's turn up. Dudley Central, have you seen his?
No, I didn't even know he was partaking.
He has done a piece of Birmingham New Street. It looks brilliant, and he's not done the standard. He's done it as a mod as part of the module layout. So he's used the straight bit of track they give, and he's sort of done that as the running line, and he's just done his own little thing behind it. It looks awesome. It's a really good one.
I'll have to have a look into that. I'm trying. There's been a couple of TT ones that have popped up in the last. Weirdly, it's that I think it's an amalgamation of people doing the same sort of thing of everyone forgot about it and then suddenly are now rushing to do it, or
almost like our group of people are just neurodivergent.
or it's the fact that people have sort of been a little bit secret squirrel with it all, and they might have been doing it for the last six to 9 months, or however long it's been out. And I mean, it's Dudley Central. There's a nice lad who's doing one in TT as well.
Dent Station, isn't it?
That's it. Dent Station.
I saw one of his videos last night, and I'll sort of repeat what he said. But someone started a rumor that you're not allowed vehicles on these boards, and that's not true. So anyone panicking away, he's watching. He went, "Yeah, they said you're not allowed vehicles." I was like, "What? I've got a traction engine on mine."
Yeah, because he mentioned that Peachy wanted to have on his quickly talking about Peachy's as well. Like the weird thing about his is that he's done loads of scenery, but there's no track on it yet. So I'm just waiting for that moment when the track actually goes on it. But that's not the issue. But yeah, it's been nice that loads of them have started popping up in the last sort of month or so. So
it's really nice. I think some people have been a bit secret squirrel. I know we know that Joseph's been working on one, that model railway guy. Nothing's appeared yet. So interesting to see what Joseph's doing. But yeah, Peachy's looks really good. He's been working on it, and because that was the other thing was mentioned the dimensions around the layout. You can't go beyond it. Because I was a little worried because Lenny's is warped a little bit because he's used foam board.
Yeah,
and it's walked only by a fraction of a millimeter off the edge. But I checked when we got the email today, and I was like, "Is that going to be a problem?" Because I will try and lift it and glue back it on for him. But I don't want him to be disqualified just because the foam board warped and it's just like a couple of mil hanging over when it did fit, kind of thing. But they were like, "Yeah, it'll be fine," kind of thing. So that was all right. But I think maybe the adult entry may not be so because I was a bit concerned about my foliage overhanging. It's like I've got a bit of shrubbery that's a bit too long. I might have to trim my bush, or so to speak. But yeah, the model car thing that you can put cars on it, they just have to be glued down. everything has to be glued down on it, bar the locomotives and rolling stock.
Okay, so we've come back from this section, and although there's a massive section that I have cut out of this, I was sat talking to James for a good 5 minutes on mute. But James was so good at talking that it genuinely felt like he was responding or he was like carrying on from what I was saying, but he was just thinking along the right lines. So I can't remember the entirety of the conversation I was having with myself where I thought James was responding to me, but I was actually on mute. So I apologize. I don't know how to sort of go back and redo the conversation. But yes, let's make tracks doing the Dent Station. He's been doing it where effectively for the whole of September he's been documenting it, and I think in the first video he's like, "Oh, it's the 3rd of September." I was like, "Geez," and I was so tense watching the video because I'm like, "You've got less than a month to get this done," and I likened it to. Do you remember when Laurie earlier in the year and the crew at Laurie's Mechanical Marvels, they were doing that modular layout build where they all built a section. And I was saying about there was one of the guys who's like, "Oh yeah, I've done a turntable, I've got all these wiring bits, I've got all this sort of wizardry going on here," and then it pans to Laurie and Laurie's is on fire. And that's the same feeling I've got with, and I'm pretty sure the channel is Let's Make Tracks. But James and I have spoken many times about how when you try to go find a video that you watched within the last 2 days and you're trying to get the name of something or things like that, you suddenly can't find it. But I'm pretty sure it's Let's Make Tracks, and he's a TT modeler who actually, I don't know if it's AI generated or writes it himself and records it. If he does, it's a very good job. But he does a lot of train themed music, which I thought was interesting as I was just sort of watching / hobbying whilst the video was on. But yeah, interesting nonetheless.
Oh yes, yeah. I noticed the songs, and then there was one about Richard Trevithick being the steam engine, not Robert Stevenson. He just improved it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, production quality wise, he's either a very good musician and knows what he's doing, or it's AI generated, but he's written the songs. I'm not entirely sure. Let's Make Tracks. If you are listening, please let us know because I am intrigued. But yeah, so we've got quite a few people who are bringing out their Pico 200 builds, and it is quite nice. I don't know if I prefer having all of them all slammed in this last month, or there's like, I think people like you and George are probably the two who started their videos a lot earlier than everyone else, or at least it feels like that.
yeah, because me and George tend to work. I mean, George was copying me basically. So
it's nice that he is the 009 modeler though, and he's just decided to do 00.
Stole my crown from there.
Just for a bit of fun.
I was doing 009 modeling, and George come along, and he got more subscribers, and then he got the magazine, then he gets invited to shows. But he got snubbed as well for the Hobby Magazine Awards, so that made me feel a bit bad.
Everything comes round to that. Poor George.
What have you been up to? Let's
I have been. I'm looking around the loft, and I can't actually say what I've done. Once again, we're on it's a weird time since we last recorded. I've got loads. I've got loads of the Hornby TTA black shell tankers have all turned up, and they're very nice.
Oh yeah, I saw your 08 pulling them earlier.
I was genuinely impressed with the 08 being able to pull all nine. Is it 9? Yeah, all 9 of them. It was sort of like I did the same thing as you yesterday, where I came up into the loft and I didn't really achieve anything during that time, and that's neither here nor there. I just wasn't being as productive as I could have been. But I would be intrigued to see how many of the tankers the 08 can pull up my incline, because it pulls 9 up there. So you can have a rake of 9 going around. And previously I had 6 of them. I'm intrigued how many can I get up there. But
that's the Peachy conversion, though, is it, with the cordless motor?
Yes, it is. It is, because I bought mine from Peachy. So it's the cordless motor in that one with a stay alive and a sound chip.
So that'd be a more interesting one. I mean, obviously you'd have to get hold of a Hornby one with a regular motor and compare how well they run. Would be quite an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one that you can get everywhere at the moment is the DB Schenker one, and I think one of the retailers has it at 40% off, so it's less than £100, which is pretty good. That's like 2013, maybe 2014 prices for an OH Hunter.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
It was
good.
a Bescott show on that one, if I recall. So it was retired about 2016. For anyone sort of want to look at that one. But
Hmm.
it's
I'd have to repaint it. It's definitely it's not one of my favorite liveries, if I'm really honest. I quite like DB Schenker, but I think it doesn't look right on the O8.
oh, I don't mind it. I've got the GBRF one. I want to repaint that, but it's got no ladders on it, which is an issue.
In terms of like things that I've been up to, I've I'm waiting for all of these building kits to turn up. So I've spent my birthday money wisely, and I've purchased a lot of MDF kits ready for the layout. And I think I talked about uh, playing around with some of them last week, but I've ordered loads, and I'm now just waiting for them to all turn up. Not done a lot in terms of
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Maybe you can use like a Google Earth map, maybe, to try and work out where to position buildings, sort of give you a more of a realistic idea.
yeah. It's you tend to one thing I did sort of find is that you do tend to have it where you have like a big clump of the bigger buildings together, and you have like almost a small open space, and then loads of big buildings again together. So you don't always necessarily have all of the big super sky high buildings. But yeah, I couldn't get over last week how having a retaining wall and a building sat there massively changes the look of the area. It does then make you go, oh, this is a model layout, like a model railway. Like this is actual layout rather than just a train set kind of thing. Even with
Yeah.
the whole double deck thing, it was really nice just sort of having that retaining wall with a loco going behind it and with the building. And so, I'm not very good at the whole arty shot kind of thing, but it was nice to sort of have it where you had the building, the retaining wall, and then the loco going by in the background. That was quite nice. So yeah, it's got me excited to. I think most of my winter, autumn, winter is going to be building retaining walls and different model kits and populating that particular area of the layout. Because once that back section's sort of done, I can then start moving on to maybe doing one of the bridges or like boxing in sort of the off-scene areas. But yeah, I'm excited. It's really cool. Tell you one thing that we do have. Bunter's Yard, as of today, that'll give you an idea of when we're recording. As of today, you can actually purchase model rail replacement podcast billboards in currently Double O and TT. Now, I was genuinely surprised, and I'm not saying this because I don't. Everyone thinks I hate N. I don't. I just don't. I don't know enough about it. But I was genuinely surprised of how many people almost instantly messaged on Bunterchard's post and said, "Can we have it in N?" I was so surprised of how many people asked for it, and I'm very glad for that. And thank you to those who did ask for it because that is really, really kind of you. So yeah, I think
Especially as we bash N all the time, you'd think they'd left us by now.
we don't actually bash N, we just
No, we don't.
neglect N. it,
Well, we do. Well, yeah. Well, I tell you what, that reminds me because obviously the International Engage show did happen over the weekend, and there was a bit of news. So should we go on to that?
yes, let's talk news.
Yeah, Grain Fresh, Engage Hall, which will be DCC ready. These prices are going with the rounds of Sheffield at 189.99 and 289.99 for the sound version. And they look splendid. Looks like there's a die-cast bodywork on there. So I'll just go with the prices that I can see being offered for rounds of Sheffield, which would be, assuming there'll be a discount on there. So DCC ready are being offered 161.45 and DCC standard 254.95. The various options being offered, such as Ragley Hall in BR lined green. There is Kinlet Hall in BR lined green with the lake crest. I imagine this would look quite splendid. Ravingham Hall in GWR lime green, with the Great Western with the coat of arms in the middle. And there's BR lined black in Fountains Hall as well. So there's those four as the original offer. Appears to be a die-cast boiler and bodywork on it. I imagine there's all sorts of cordless motor, electrical pickup, separate metal bearings fitted to each driving wheel axle, metal bearings fitted to each tender wheel axle. There's 9mm wheels to NEM 310 standards, traction tyres fitted to the rear driving wheels for assured haulage capability, discrete fixed locomotive to tender drawbar with electrical connection in there. Removable cup pulling pockets to the NEM 355 standards. and designed to operate on second radius curves. So yeah, it sounds pretty good. It's going to be the next 18 DCC ready or decoder fitted, depending which one you buy. And each model will be supplied with a set of accessory parts, including dummy screw link couplings and coupling hooks. So yeah, sounds pretty good. Looks pretty good. I think it's been a while since a haul's been. I think Graham Farish had a haul, and then I think Dapol have done a haul, and now Graham Farish is doing a haul again. So there was that one. The other Engage announcement was Kato returning with their class. Well, this time it'll be an 802, so it's the 802. So they've previously done the GWR and LNER Hitachi IET trains. These ones will be in the lovely and most beautiful livery that you can get it in, as far as I'm concerned, is the Transpennine. I don't think any livery beats that one on those units. They look fantastic in that livery. There's also whole trains will be offered and Lumo. So yeah, if you're an East Coast mod, though, you'll be very sport for choice here. But yeah, that ties up everything for, I think, everything, unless we miss anything. We do like to neglect then Engage, as we've just discussed at the International Engage Show. Now, obviously, we said last week there was quite a number of announcements, and we probably missed some stuff. We missed the Curious Scale stuff, and they have got some projects returning. So first of all is the Manners are to return. They've got a couple of exclusives. These are preserved examples of Great Western liveried Manners. I believe they're the ones down on, I can't think, the Dartmouth Steam Railway. So yeah, Linden Manor will be their Curious Scale exclusive, and then they are offering 4 other locomotives. No, I think 4 or 5. Can't quite be certain, but there's not many in the class, so I think they've pretty much covered them by this point. But yeah, they're making return in BR liveries, including the likes of Lechlade Manor, Odney Manor, and yeah, so that's looking pretty good there. I think Norton Manor might be another one. So that's the Manor classes by Chris Goward return. I've got one of their Manors, and a really nice model. Really nice model. Runs really well. So I'm very tempted to get one in a livery I'd quite like, because I just picked up one of the plain black ones just for the hell of it, kind of thing. But
wasn't it in the mega sale?
No, I tell you how I got mine. I got mine through my Curious Scale points, and then the mega sale came out a week later, and the sound footage version was the same price of what I just paid for the non-sound version. So I was like, damn it. But yeah, I'd acquired quite a number of points to pay for the. I think I put a little bit of my money towards it and bought that. That's kind of that's what I like about them. This is the little point system. It's quite nice. They build up after a while. You obviously start spending so much money with them. Yeah, Class 60s then. Their batch 2 has been announced, including liveries such as EW and S. So it's got the and in it rather than just EWS. Colas Rail Freight. We've got, I'm going to get the decal wrong. It's petroleum. It is petroleum. So that's 60051. There's DB's. It's a kind of grey. It's loaded with Puma, not the sports shoes. They're an energy company. So it's like a sort of slate grey coloured with a DB logo and a Puma logo on it, which is 60074. So yeah, I think there's a blue Teenage Spirit as well. That might be the exclusive.
Yes.
Teenage Cancer Trust. Yes, 60074. So
yeah.
But yeah, some nice looking liveries in it. Oh, and that plain white. They've got the Ghost White. That's the other exclusive that they're going to do. So it's kind of the loco that went into the paint shop and then come out the paint shop before they managed to get the vinyls on it or whatever they were going to do to it. We're going to go to Thomas now. Reminds me of the Thomas story when Henry halfway through being painted, at least red, and then he has to go out and help. That's in the Christopher Awdry book. So you won't know that reference because you don't have those books.
No, I'm still perplexed as to why they. Anyway, let's not talk Thomas. We'll talk about that another day.
We always talk Thomas. Someone put that meme up, didn't they? 7 days about Lenny taking it.
Josh, bring the meme back.
That's it. Their Class 92 is also coming back, which they announced today, I think, or maybe yesterday. This is the Class 92, which is the Children's Hospice Charity House, I think, off the top of my head.
Yes, that sounds about right.
But Martin House, that's it. So it's a charity fundraiser that Curious Scale are quite involved with. and this is to raise funds for it. So it's the DB Red liveried Class 92, which will be their, I think they're exclusive. Don't they've not announced any other liveries yet. And 92029 will be their 92 making a return, and obviously it's a fundraiser one as well, so there'll be money going towards charity. That's it's always a nice. I do like that with Curious Cat. They do, they have the fundraising logos, the various things that they've done in the past. Yeah, wish them all the best on that one. Right, I think that's everything covered now.
Excellent.
We've been talking about it a little bit already, but I thought we'd just talk about our layout building, how we've been getting on, and sort of just a general chit chat about model railway building, because analytics tell us that people like these episodes.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Sometimes you and I come at this and we go, right, okay, we don't have a guest on, we're just going to talk hobby. And actually, weirdly, people really like these ones. So thanks, general public. Thanks, fans.
There we go. There we are. Right then, we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll just talk model railway.
Wilson? Wilson!
Yes, sir?
Is everything set for His Majesty's arrival?
Yes, sir. The chefs are preparing the banquet, and his room is prepared.
And the model room as per his request?
Yes, sir. The models are all out on display.
Your Majesty, welcome to my humble abode. Yes, very good, old sport. Come on, let's play trains. Absolutely, Your Majesty. What's this? Something wrong, Your Majesty? These locos, they're so clean, so fresh, like they're straight out of the box. All cleaned up for your arrival. Oh no, my dear boy. You know what I want. I want it dirty. Dirty? Show me your dirty shunter. Okay, here you go. Oh yes, that's the stuff. Who made this filth?
It was Emperor's Path, Your Majesty.
I think I'll have to make a royal appointment myself, and still have some change to buy my new helicopter.
You can get your models weathered by Emperor's Path using just the airbrush for a light dusting, or alternatively, oil paints and airbrush to add that extra depth. Contact Emperor's Path on Instagram at emperors_path, or alternatively, emperorspathcontact@gmail.com.
Emperor's Path? I'm the only emperor around here.
Right, we're back. And we just thought we'd just generally chit chat about model railways, really, what we've been up to. Mine was, I wanted to sort of just talk about, I mean, as I said, we've already touched on the subject of the Rail 200, but, I've been working on that Rail 200 build over the last couple of months. And I thought it'd be nice to talk about what I liked doing on it, what went wrong on it, kind of how I got around things, how I did things. And I thought we could probably just talk about your TT as well. You progressed quite far on that one. You've got to a point where you're actually committed to putting scenery on it, so without ripping it up. So,
hey, to be fair, I did the same with the last layout. It's just that I never finished the whole sections of it. But it'd be lovely. I mean, my thing is, I really enjoy when you do your series, and I think I always get a little bit sad when you don't necessarily finish your bigger projects. So you obviously did your Fiddle Yard on your 00 last year, and then it sort of that was it, and it meant that you could run trains around. But I like seeing your projects develop, and I guess it's the same with other things. You always want to see what people are up to, what they're doing, and stuff like that. And what's been really nice about your Rail 200 is seeing a start to finish kind of thing. And I like the little running session that you did at the end of it. And I've already said about visually, it's right up my street because of like the season that you're doing and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, for you, what was your favorite part of doing it? What made you go, what made you say, yeah, that's the happiest I am with this? Because I have an answer for you for your project, but I'm intrigued what you're going to say.
I think the trees were the moment I thought, yeah, no, I've got it. It was kind of, yeah, they they come out a lot better than I ever expected. I think I remember reading somewhere someone had said they'd got those Woodland Scenic tree armatures from Bachmann, and they're awful on their own. They are. They're if you're happy to buy them and just twist them and follow the instructions that they say and just put a bit of tacky glue on it and dump it in some clump foliage and then put a bit of spray on top and sprinkle a little bit of fine foliage to sort of, and they look okay, but they don't look very realistic. And I'd read someone that said, you can improve them just by putting a bit of sea moss or seam foam on them. So I was like, well, I'm going to try that then, because I bought that tree kit. I mean, if you watch the video, you can see from the price long ago I bought that tree kit. I don't think you can get that tree kit for £13 anymore. It's so I was like, yeah, no, you know what? I'm just going to try these because I wanted to make trees, but they didn't want to be too tall because obviously you've got a 14 centimetre height limit on it. So they were just roughly about the right size. And if I started making my own with wire armature, then I, was concerned I'd spend all that time making them and they might get a bit too big. You wouldn't really want to start hacking them down to size to fit within the limits of you spent all that time making them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought I'd try it. And I've got a box of seafoam trees and they were awful because they were like from that period when I don't know if you bought any or sort of a few years back. There must have been just something like seafoam just wasn't growing very well, but it didn't matter where you're trying to buy them from. And I remember lots of people complaining about them, just like the seafoam is just rubbish. They don't look like trees. They're all wilted and bent and they just look awful. And I tried making, there's a few good ones that I managed to make trees out of, but the rest of it was just crap. So I was like, well, I'm just going to chop these up and glue them onto those tree armatures and then blend it all together, spray them up and just see what I can do. And I'm so pleased with them. They come out so well.
That was my favourite bit as well. And I think what was nice was you and I were jokingly texting each other, and because we'd had a conversation about how I hated doing trees because I hadn't done a good one, and I'd rather buy a pre-made tree. And then one of us said, "Oh well, you can do mine then." And then you were like, "Whoa, wait a minute! I need to see if this actually works." And then you sent me a picture about 20 minutes later, and I was like, "Geez, that actually looks amazing." And I don't know if it's because of the color that you were using on it, because it was that sort of really striking orange on there, but it just really made me think of those. We talked about horse hay using the sort of the pre. You buy the bigger trees that are actually sort of more scale sized trees than what we have readily available for a decent amount. And I just thought it was such a good piece. And for me, that was the point where I was like, this makes it feel like the layout's really coming together. Because I think on Din Ridge, you didn't necessarily have that many trees, did you? Or it didn't feel like you did.
The first one, Fort Dinrid, has got one tree by the house and 3 trees down in the meadow, I think, or one up by the church. And I was told the one up by the church was wrong because it was that one was that was a Woodland Scenics one.
I have, in fact, it's sat underneath my layout. I have got a box of I think I had the Gauge Master seafoam, and I think I remember watching an Everard Junction video where he talked about, and it was probably an L Town video as well, talking about how they were doing their trees. And I remember looking at mine compared to the ones they were pulling out of the Gauge Master box or like the Woodland Scenics box or whoever made theirs. And I remember thinking, mine looks nothing like that. And like the box is sat under there because I just can't be bothered to go back and do the trees. So yeah, I think you did a really good job of the trees on that layout. I felt like obviously you had the constraints of the boards on this particular project. And the one thing I did feel was I wanted to see a longer version of it, because obviously it did feel like with your 200 build that it not necessarily like too squashed, because it matched with what you were trying to do, but I would have loved to have seen like a slightly elongated version of it with like bigger platforms and stuff like that, because I know as of today I saw, or maybe even late last night, I remember you showing me a picture of your those 4-wheel coaches in a nice long rake, and I thought, oh, they do look really nice like that. And I think that's the thing out of this that I would like to have seen more of, was like a longer platform. But obviously, like I say, that you were following the rules of the the competition. And as you said last week, what are the rules?
What are the rules? Yeah, well, I have bought another board to do that because I wanted that as well, because it is obviously, it's a very small area to work in. And I only come up with that design because I had, the Terrier and the P class. And I was a bit like, I bet I could build something that worked around them. I bet I could, as you say, I've got those Hornby coaches. So if I get a couple of those Hornby coaches and the Terrier, I reckon I could probably just squeeze a run round loop on there and like have a little siding off the side. And in my mind, I was thinking that there's a layout called Old Parrock. I've seen it at exhibitions a couple of times. There's a lovely, lovely layout. And I was like, I bet I could do something like Old Parrock, but squash it into here, but don't make it look like it's squashed in there. Make it look like it's meant to be in there, kind of thing. Because I set that as a sort of a challenge to make, at the end of the day, right? The prize is you could win the £500. You win a little trophy and you win the subscription railway model, and I think some tickets to Peakorama, and there's a second prize of £100 and all those little bits. And that'd be nice to win. But I set out with the idea of going, look, if I'm going to invest time and money into this, then I want something I can get out of it. I want a layout out of it. I don't want to, spend, because basically I was going to have to drop my 009 build that I was sort of starting to get through and get somewhere with to do this. So, I want something worth it out of it. So that's why I kind of like, well, I'm going to make sure it's a working layout. And I can actually use it and have fun with it, because the rules would allow you to, you can have a fiddle yard on the side. You just don't enter the fiddle yard as part of the competition. That's that's allowed kind of thing. I mean, who was to stop you anyway?
I think what was quite nice is that you could still run the loco round a train in that layout. Like, you made it so you just had enough space for the loco to come out of the points at the end as well, didn't you?
Yeah, it had to be squeezed in, really squeezed. I mean, I've used a bit of fence with a buffer stop on it just to stop the loco running off the end. And again, I think I said in the video, there's no way in real life that bit of fence would ever stop an engine that was overrunning going through. And you've got to be a very careful driver to get into that head shunt and not knock that fence over, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that is a temporary fix because, like you say, I've bought another board. I intend to make that longer once the competition's done because, it was really enjoyable and I really liked it. And, like you said, the size of it, if it's just that little bit longer, I think you just get a little bit more world out of it. And then I can put my bigger engines on there as well.
It's really nice. And especially seeing there's the Rapido locos that are out at the moment, they do look fantastic. And I can't wait to see those on there as well.
Oh, the E1s. Yeah, see, that's the problem. They don't fit in the head shunt.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's the problem, yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
a little bit too big.
So like you finished your 200 and you've obviously got a plan to extend it and stuff like that. So I guess I'm intrigued. What's next for the narrow gauge, for the 009? Because that's your bread and butter, really. I always feel like I guess your exhibition videos are like your main thing, but what's your plan for the 009 now? Obviously, Lenny's taking your time because he wants you to do the TT layout, but what are you thinking for the 009 moving forward over the next sort of 6 months or so? What's your plan? What
the stuff we want to do with the house, and it means I'm considering moving out of this room and getting an all-purpose cabin to move into, and this room will become like a den for the kids. So they've got like they can hang out in here rather than having their mates over and trashing our house, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I am sort of thinking of taking the 00 gauge down, making more space in here so I can work on smaller projects. Because the Rail 200, I realised I was like, I just need to do small projects. Doing big layouts is always that really grand idea in my head. Going, I really love a big layout and do this and do that, and then I'll design a really extravagant plan. There'll be different layers and all this. We talked about this at the beginning of the episode. I will come in here and I will sit down for an hour and a half and I don't do anything because I just procrastinate about it all. And I was just like, this is why nothing gets done. I never build anything because I just sometimes struggle to get the motivation to do it. If I just have something smaller, I think I'm more motivated to do it. And the way I change my mind every 5 minutes, well, I can just work on a layout and change my mind and then go work on another layout. And I don't have to get rid of that layout. I can just put that to the side and come back to it, kind of thing. So yeah, but I'm kind of thinking with the narrow gauge because I was intending to build other baseballs to go with it, which will probably end up taking it to about 12 feet long with what I've got planned. So yeah, I'm gonna finish off the main town board first. So I've been building the house, the low relief shops to go along the back. I've got a load more to build, and I'm also going to be building a retaining wall to go in front of the road where the shops are. And I'm going to try something I saw on Facebook. I can't find this modeler anymore. I don't know. I don't know if they've just gone off there, but they were in the 009 group. They were building one of the stations off the Corus line, the top station. I can't remember its name, McAfee, I think. But the modelling was just amazing. But they've got like dry slate walls, and to make them, they take plaster and they said they put a concrete colour in it. I tried concrete, I couldn't get it to work, so I've done black, but put a colour into the plaster mix as they've mixed it up, then just rolled it out, scored it into lines, let it dry. Once it's dry, just break the lines off and then break them into pieces, and you've got looks like pieces of slate, and then they just put them together to build slate walling. So I'm gonna have a go at that on the 009. That's the next thing. I don't know how long that's going to take me, if that's even a good idea, but that's kind of what I do. Yeah, I need to get the 009 working. I probably need to get it running, so at least I can make some running videos to go with the build videos. I think that's why people avoid my channel, because it's just me building stuff and I never actually do anything. There's never any trains running.
Well, no, I know you definitely had trains running in the Ford Dinrid build. I'm now trying to recall whether I actually remember seeing any logos moving on this new one. So maybe that is the thing you need to bring into future videos on this channel.
I think we tested it. I don't know. Yeah, I think we tested it. We've got a logo test in like episode 3 or something. But yeah, I haven't got much because I was planning to put the other boards on. But yeah, I think I need to take the 00 gauge down to put the 009 up to build the other boards to make it long enough. As I say, seemingly be about 12 foot, and then I need to work out what I'm gonna do with the rest of it. If I'm gonna have an end-to-end fiddle yard or, yeah, I don't know. I'll have to think it out. I haven't fully thought it through. I just started building board one and decided one board will go there, another board will go there, another board will go there. But probably might be a bit of a tight squeeze, but we'll see.
You can do that, can't you? You can put the board that you're building at the moment. You can add that into. Sorry, we've gone off your Rail 200 build, but I think it's quite interesting talking about now that you've finished this project. What do you do on the next one? And I guess you could just put that in your far corner, ready to sort of then build onto the next bit. And I think one bit I've never seen you do, and I think maybe I'm quite excited to see something like this is just a scenic piece. Like, you've obviously got with Ford Dinrid, it's all technically you've got scenics and you've got your station and stuff like that, and then your Rail 200 is a station that's got some scenic bits around it. But I'm talking about that whole. It is just the track, a straight piece of track. There's nothing like a station or anything like that in there, and just scenery. I'd love to see what you would do with just scenery. Does that make sense? I'm not.
I get what you mean. Yeah, I don't know if I could do that. I like scratch building too much.
But you've proven how good you are at doing the trees on the Rail 200. It's something I haven't seen you do. But then the scenics that you did do on Fort Dinrid and the ones that you've done in Rail 200 are really, really good. And obviously, I guess your current the town in your 009 build, that you can see how much you enjoy doing scratch build, because that is all predominantly scratch built. So it's a big section, and I'd just love to see you do only needs to be like a 4 foot piece that's just scenery, like just the countryside of your neck of the woods. Because I think that would be just such a nice, beautiful section to see on your layout.
Well, I might do something like that on the Rail 200 one. I'm thinking about at the head shunt end. I mean, the station's quite small, and I've might take that station and platform up and build a slightly bigger one, so it can fit 3 coaches rather than 2 coaches. Also, I'm not happy with the station building because I used the 6 foot measurement for the opening, but it should have been 6'6" at minimum. So any figures I put near the opening look too tall, so
Right,
it's
okay.
not quite right. So I need to rebuild that. So I'm thinking just make that end, the head shunt end, just a little bit longer, maybe by 6 inches to a foot. And then the other end, I was thinking of just doing. I mean, is a level crossing allowed?
It depends,
Because I
is
was
it?
just thinking, just the plain line going through the woods into the fields, and then just a level crossing, and that would be it. That's all I was going to do on there. But
I, I tell you what, I would. I mean, obviously, it's your layout. You do what you want, mate. But I'd realised when I was sort of you obviously you jokingly compare you and George because you're 2 of the 009 modelers out there, but I realised that I couldn't recall seeing you do a just. It's not because everything's scenic, isn't it? But it's that sort of I'm trying to think of what the actual word is. The almost that countryside feel of it not being. You have a nice built up town area, and I don't know. A level crossing feels. I get why you'd put one on because it would give you a point of interest for that particular section. I tell you what kind of level crossing I think would be really good, and you don't see it done that often, is especially on the Welsh narrow gauge, you tend to see like the foot crossing version, and everyone always models a level crossing with cars and stuff like that and all that sort of stuff, but no one ever does those little sort of crossing points that you get on the narrow gauge railways where pedestrians can just cross. I don't even recall seeing one because there's still a few of them around on the double O gauge or on the main lines or and stuff like that. And I
yeah,
think
people do barrow crossings, but yeah, they don't tend to do like for the foot crossings or
yeah,
user work crossings as well. That kind of thing. Team to get yeah, they tend to go for the traditional road over crossing over the railway kind of gated crossings.
yeah,
There's so many different types of level crossings as well. Like we have a whole rule book. I think there's about 9 sections in it of the different types of level crossings and how to treat them. So there are plenty of options out there if you want a level crossing.
yeah. I think that would be a nice like because I always think of I remember going to Barla Lake years ago, and my wife and I we we parked at the one of the stations at Barla Lake and we walked up the hill and then back down again. And I remember there was a few points where we crossed the Barla Lake by foot, the railway by foot, and then up the hill and then down again, crossed it again, walked along a path, and then eventually we got to the station at the other end. And then the treat was that we got to go on the train back. And I just remember it being quite like a nice little. And you see some of the pictures of like that George and Mark from Isworth Holt and other people, and in Tom's Talaclin video that he did earlier this year, some of the whole where the trees almost mound round the shape of the trains and they're so close and inside. I think is it Tom's Forest, the
Yes.
009 or the narrow gauge. That's
Yeah,
a perfect example of it.
I think 16.5 gauge.
But it is that sort of really nice. I'm trying to think of what the actual word would be. Would it be just countryside? But I would just love to see you do a maybe I don't know. I'd love to see you just do a board section of I don't know 2 foot or something like that, 2 foot by 1 foot. That's just countryside that you could clip onto the end of it. Because I'd be really intrigued to see what you do with it.
Well, I mean, the 009 I'm working on at the moment. Obviously, I follow the map that I drew, like my fictional world, and the idea is if you're heading east, you'll head towards Ford Dinrid eventually. So you'll pass the castle, and then it'll wind round. It follows the river, and then it goes into the mountains, and it'll come out the tunnel the other side into Fort Dinrid. Is the idea being that I can join this layout up with the Fort Dinrid layout. Well, the more we look at Fort Dinrid, I think I'm going to have to rebuild it if I want to join them together.
Yeah.
But then going west towards the harbour, I intend to do something like what the Welshpool and Llanfair had, where it sort of squeezed through the town between the houses. The same with the Corus as well. They've got a bit of line that was squeezed between the houses, so people's gardens are right next to the railway line. I want to model something like that, just because I think it'll be really interesting to do. But once it's beyond there, it passes over an inlet into the main estuary, over the bridge, because I want to model a watermill, and then it would just then follow the waters of the estuary round towards the harbour. So that I could probably do a scenic bit there where there's nothing but the railway and just the river,
Yeah.
and sort of the trees and the hillside.
That's my 2 pence on it. I mean, I think.
Yeah,
I guess-
it's definitely it's something to have a go at, isn't it? I think the 009 will probably just take over the room eventually. I mean, I said I don't want to do a big project, and then I've got this. I mean, I'd like to make the whole map that I drew out. I'm not sure how I'd fit it all in.
Yeah, that would be the big problem, wouldn't it? I'm trying to work out how you could do it as well, and I just can't. And I think that's why sometimes with model railways, it's really easy to. I mean, I'm saying this as the person who my entire layout is based within the M25, so it's very difficult for me to do this. So I'm kind of being a hypocrite here. But I guess if you look at it in the sense that I'm modelling in a city, London, you're expecting to see lots of buildings, lots of built-up areas. I guess with narrow gauge, you do tend to find that you've got one little village or one little station, and then it's just countryside, and you might have a few
countryside or mountains or something, isn't it? But yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're doing London, right? And are you going to have like a park or something in it? Because I mean, London is technically classified as a forest because it has that many trees in it.
I genuinely didn't know that. But so, yes, there is actually an idea of doing a sort of, not Richmond, but although Richmond Park's the biggest one I can think of, apart from like Hyde Park and stuff like that. But yeah, because I sometimes look at it not as a railway modeler, but as a painter and stuff like that, and it's all about like color composition. And we had a little conversation with Tom about it the other day in our chat about how like you can do things that make it more realistic to the railway, but you can also do things that make it so it's visually better to look at. And my plan is where the curved loop incline is. What I did want to do was I wanted to sort of make that a more built up area that was a little bit more park like and a little bit more forest like trees and stuff like that. So it is a bit more green. And it adds that. Dean Park always reminds me of this. Is obviously he has his like Edinburgh Waverley station, but just above it, sort of towards the viewer of the layout, he's actually got quite like a really big park area there, and I think it always looks really nice where you've got all the grey and you have like that particular color palette that he has down there, and I just think having all the green of having like a forest and stuff like that, although for me it doesn't necessarily make sense that I'm doing Clapham Junction area, but actually just past that sort of girder bridge is going to go into a tunnel, and do you know what, having like a forest and like a park and like a little trail and stuff like that up there is completely plausible, because you do have, like you say, you have massive parks within London that completely, I mean, the massive open park that's at the bottom of Alexandra Palace, in between Alexandra Palace and the line coming from King's Cross, you get beautiful views there.
Yeah, it's fabulous though, isn't it? It's I walked up the hill to the Ali Pali show last year when I went. I think it was last year. And yeah, it is quite the view. I wouldn't recommend walking up that hill. I'd get the bus next time.
Oh, you see, we Mark and I walked up it, and I actually thought it was quite nice because I felt like I'd earned it when I got to the top of the hill. But we
was
spoke...
right. But then you're walking around all day in Ali Pali looking at layouts. Oh, I'm exhausted.
we did sit on the train from Waterloo to Portsmouth, and we both sat down, and I think we didn't talk to each other for a good 5 minutes before I went, I'm really sorry, mate. I'm not being rude. And he was like, no, I did the same thing. And it's that sort of, you're so exhausted and tired. You're like, Well, I'm all peopled out, but no, it's a very valid point, and I think the amount of greys and browns that I'm going to have on my layout, especially in that sort of forefront area, it is really important sometimes to add in those extra little tidbits that make it feel more like a real life thing or something. We do have all those colors. And I think that's when you look at like the compositions of what you're using. So if you're modeling something that is a bit more green, you then have a look at what you're like. If I was doing a countryside scene, I would probably look at something a bit more like a BR maroon livery or something like that, and a blue logo, because it will stand out more against all the green of the forest and stuff like that. And that's sometimes what I try and plan in my head when I'm looking at what I'm doing. Um,
Hmm. So it's a bit like an artist composition, then, isn't it?
yeah, and I think sometimes I think sometimes it is nice to sort of try and step away from those things that there'll be the people out there who will say that what I'm about to say is completely wrong. And I think it's why narrow gauge modeling is really good for this sort of thing, because you do have that sort of freestyle and a little bit of being able to do kind of what you want. And I think sometimes we do have to look at trying to do things so that they're more appealing to the eye visually. Um, there's a massive list of like complementary colors and contrasting colors that you can have with things to go with things. And if you were looking at trying to model something for, I used to sometimes pick armies that I did in Warhammer based on them not being red. And red's one of my favorite colors, but when it comes to weathering, red's quite rubbish to do, because the two main colors used for weathering are brown and orange, and both of those use red as a primary color to create the color. And it it's about sometimes having a look at, right, okay, so blue and green are actually really good colors to use for weathering, because they have they don't have that red tinge to them. And you'd be surprised if you stood there with like a red coach or a red TTA wagon, for example, and a green TTA wagon or a blue TTA wagon, and you just sort of did some weathering on them. Like, you'd be surprised how the same thing looks completely different, because it's a contrasting color to it, rather than sort of like an almost like a complementary color. And sometimes it is about going, right, okay, well, what colors actually work best in here? And I think that's something. I think you've raised a good point about putting a forest on a London-based layout, because I don't know whether anyone else notices this when they're walking in London. There's actually, James is right. There's a surprising amount of trees. Like, if you come out of Vauxhall Station, for example, and you come out, there is that stereotypical thing of like, there's a tree and then 100 yards and then another tree and then another. But that's enough that visually, if you have that sat on a layout in front of you, it's a color that just pops up every now and again, gives you that sort of nice thing. And I think that's something that I've got a giant space that I'm going to be working with. And I feel like there will be places where, although I'm modeling inside London, I might start using sort of more that Great Western sort of stonework sort of color, because visually it would look a lot nicer having a grey to contrast with some of the other colors that I've been using. Does that make sense? I feel like I've gone off on a tangent that's not necessarily related to the projects thing, but we were talking about colors and the sort of the thing of having that sort of really nice countryside scene, that you having a very, I always think about it, and it's probably why I'm intrigued about whether you're going to do it or not, is because the majority color on your railway is blue. You have this really nice sort of royal blue, Prussian blue, I can't remember which one it is, but then that in a grey or sort of green area will stand out so nicely as it sort of comes around the mountain or around a stream or something like that. And it will just sort of pop really nicely. And I think that's why I'm so intrigued about whether that's something that you're looking to do. And even by you, if you then put it into an autumn tone, sorry guys, we've gone off on proper painting color theory stuff here. Even if you did that in an autumn style of it, you'd still have a really nice contrasting color, because what's the one primary color that's not used in orange? Blue. So then you have like all these things where you're almost trying to make it so that the scenery looks great by itself, but adding in your particular Mid Snowdon Railway colors actually makes it pop even more.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't do that intentionally. I just decided I wanted a fleet of blue engines.
But
Talaklinda got green, Scarlobia got red. I was like, well, natural choice is blue then, right?
I think that's why, like the Talakling colours, like whilst they look stunning, I think visually they also have that same thing of it's red in the middle of a very green area. Like it's that sort of it becomes the striking colour, and I think it's something that, like looking at the intercity stuff, that actually is probably going to be one of the harder bits. If I've got this sort of concrete jungle of doing London, having the intercity HST going through, there's going to be a lot of greys and stuff already there. And I guess that's something that you have to look for in a composition.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, you've got a lot of you'll have a lot of blues in there. You've got the colours of Network Southeast as well.
When we get there.
Yeah, I mean, like the Talakling locus, you say when they're painted red, and if it's like high summer, they look fabulous in some of that scenery.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's. I mean, talking of narrow gauge though, how is your narrow gauge going? Because it hasn't died, has it?
No, contrary to popular belief. So I did my usual burnout thing with it, where I spent that whole point over the Christmas period where I was like, right, I need to get this. I need to do a video a week. I need to get something to show people every week, blah, blah, blah. And I was just exhausting myself, because it then became the reason I tend to not do stage by stage videos is because the amount of time that you spend filming the stage by stage, whilst it can be helpful for people, sometimes it feels like the time that you put into it isn't worth what you actually get out of it, or you spend 7 hours filming and editing a video and then you don't actually put it out there. And I did that thing where I put all the brown over it, and then I started putting dirt on it. And then I remember the point I stopped was I was like, right, I'm going to put some green on here, so add some color to this particular layout. And I started putting flock on. And rather than being like clever and think about where I was putting things and like, okay, where's going to be stone, where's going to be, I just basically put green flock over the whole thing, and I basically just got really cross with it. So I took a step back from it. Those of you who don't know, Mark from Midsworth Holt actually lives just around the corner from me, and he's a really nice model railway friend to have, who lives so close, because it turns out that like you can just have a 5-minute chat and then go your separate way kind of thing. And I spent ages just sort of looking at it, and I was getting really down about it. And he took it away for a little bit, and he sort of retouched up the surface, and he just sort of worked on it for a little bit for me and tidied it up and took it back a little bit, whilst also improving some bits on there. So I now have the layout back in the loft, but he's almost framed it by putting under really nice ply sort of skirt around it all, and it looks so much nicer because of it. So I do have the narrow gauge back in the loft. When I decide to actually do something with it is a very different question, but it lives. It's still here.
It lives. And you've got the 00 gauge exhibition one that you have for your Emperor's Path painting display.
Yes.
Is that requiring more work? Or are you happy with how you've got with that, or is it sort of on the back burner until you need it again?
It's getting a run out in the end of October at the Slough exhibition, and it definitely requires a few touch ups. And I think the biggest thing it needs is I was still working on it the morning of the show, like car parking spaces and things like that. So there's things that still need touching up and adding onto it. It's a functional layout, and it will never win an award for the best layout at the show. But the whole point was that it was to show sometimes you can just have a really nice grubby, dirty layout and rolling stock, and it looks all right. The bit that I've always struggled with layouts previously is the little fine details. And I think because of the nature of the layout, where it is that I've tried to make it in the concrete jungle of Portsmouth sort of thing, and like there's the burnt out flats and a burnt out car. What has been really nice is doing the little detail bits, like I got an Oxford die-cast car from yourself years ago, and one of them I've sort of just put on the layout and weathered it, and another one I'd effectively smashed the windows in and made it so they look like somebody had smashed the car to pieces. And then we've got one that's burnt out in the front, and it's just showing like all the different things that you can do with it. And I've got loads of little bits that I got from Bunter's Yard at the show, which was quite nice having him next door to the layout, because I could just sort of go, oh, that'd be nice. And it was like thinking, you sort of do that thing of you've got the layout in front of you, and then you look in the shop, and then you go, that would actually look really nice there. And I think there's like loads of bits on the layout that I never got to do on any previous layouts that I'm finally able to do because of that exhibition layout. I'm able to populate it with people. I've got old mattress, like some 3D printed old mattresses, which it's not like scenically beautiful. It's not like some beautiful like Edinburgh sort of station area where you've got like the like the walking area surrounding it. It's very much a case of it's just sort of a real life thing where you're going to have all these little pieces on there. And I think that's the slow burn of doing that project is I've got all these little bits now that I just need to sort of glue down and sort of find place and bits like that. But I'm happy with it. And I think there's always little bits that I could do with it. Weirdly, the part about the layout that I've struggled with the most is what stock to run on it, because it's such a tight curve in the grand scheme of things. I mean, it's third and fourth radius curves, and whilst you can run locos on them, like they don't look as realistic on it as they could do. So I've gone for a lot of shorter wheelbase diesels and things like that to make it feel a little bit nicer to see those things running on it. But yeah, I think the thing about that layout is we obviously had the burnout issue with it in the sort of after Chatham, and now I don't have that sort of burnout feel. I feel like in sort of the 2 weeks before, I can go, right, okay, let's get this out, test that everything runs. Let's make sure that the locos that are in the boxes are the right locos and stuff like that. And I can just sort of go, right, okay, well, what do I need to order for this? I think eventually, so I alluded to the fact that I didn't really necessarily want to say about the retaining walls that I used on it because I felt like they were subpar pieces of kit, but I didn't have enough time to sort of replace them and put something else on there. And I think that's something that I probably will do later down the line. At the moment, it works, but I like to think that the layout in itself has like an ambience that you don't necessarily see on other layouts. You tend to have that sort of really nice feel or a countryside feel or something like that. I feel like it has got that disgusting side of life that you don't necessarily always see, but we all know it exists. And having worked in different substations in the middle of Portsmouth, I can tell you that some of the scenes that are on there are scenes that I have seen. And I've tried to sort of model things that I've actually seen in real life on it rather than sort of trying to go for the stereotypical cameos. I mean, the Fat Controller with a burnt out car for insurance fraud is definitely not something I ever thought I'd model on a model railway.
It is something you do, though, definitely.
But once again, Tom saying that it looked like something else has tickled me, and I can't put it on the podcast, but it is.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, because I sort of did that thing of because I think it's a Fiesta. I think it's a Fiesta, and I effectively just sort of covered it in oil paints and then sprayed it black and basically made it look burnt out. But Tom thinks it looks like something else, which, I mean, it's not completely wrong.
So, a goal then, what do you think will be your biggest challenge coming up on what you're working on?
I think that there's a harsh reality about the TT layout that I need to address all the sort of the running issues I'm having, because I don't feel it's a fair reflection of TT, me complaining about all the locos. Well, maybe it is. I don't know. I feel the biggest thing that I need to do, and I was talking to you about this last night, is there's clearly something wrong on the layout, and I can't pinpoint what it is. And it seems weird that like certain locos are having issues on there, and I think I need to go back round. And I didn't rush the layout in terms of getting the particular layout itself built. I think something I didn't do well enough is put in enough dropper wires. On my previous 00 gauge layout, I built the fiddle yard separate in my old house in modular boards, and I had the time to put in all of the dropper wires for every piece of track and every sort of. I was doing it over a course of each 3 foot piece had a dropper wire on it. The difference on this layout is because I wanted to get the layout built, because that's how I like to run trains, I put in the feeder wires at the end of the fiddle yard on one end, and I put the feeder wires on the end of another point, and I put some sparingly around the layout. And I don't think I put in enough dropper wires for the entirety of the layout, considering how big the layout actually is. And I guess if you think about it in the sense that you are almost using 2 sets of 14-foot times 4 plus the fiddle yard on one wall, and then on the other wall, the main sort of scenic wall, you've got 17-foot of 4 lines of track. And actually, I think outside of the fiddle yard, I don't think I've put enough dropper wires in, and it's been niggling at me for the last sort of couple of days that I think the issue is that I've not put enough dropper wires in, and I'd love for that to be the easy solution, and that I put the dropper wires in and then suddenly everything runs perfectly again. I don't know if it will, but I think that's going to be my biggest hurdle, because sometimes I want to come up and just play trains, but at the moment I can't come up and just play trains because I'm having issues running on the layout. And it's not I haven't got it there. I've got locos or rolling stock sort of flying off the track like you sometimes do get on these bigger layouts where you might have rushed it. It is simply because I didn't put enough dropper wires in. And I think it is, considering the scale of the layout, I'm just going to have to sort of slowly go around and start putting dropper wires in. And considering that I've said on the podcast previously, one of my worst flaws is my soldering. It's not something I'm looking forward to, but I know it needs to be done.
Yeah, that's not a fun job, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, I've got the knowledge that I can run 2 trains on this layout, no problem, and they can go around, and I can just have fun with that. But I do have to also sit there and say, right, maybe I need to look at this as a sort of a slight blessing, in the sense that the 250s are going away to TMC to have a look at. And then I've got some other locos. That there is a 66 on the way. Shock horror to anyone who's been listening. But maybe I take a pause and look on the fact that actually the 37, there's no definitive date on when that's coming. So whilst I don't have all the rolling stock, maybe is the time now to start adding in all these dropper wires, because I can't necessarily run all the trains that I want to because I don't have them. So actually, maybe now's the time to do it.
That's it. And then when your 37 arrives, you should have a nice working layout for it.
Yeah. I'd like to think that that's the easy solution, in the sense of maybe that's what's wrong. Because I was talking to you about it yesterday, and I said, look, the thing that's annoying me is that I sort of had the realization I don't have as many dropper wires as I did on the 00 gauge layout. And the layout is, I guess if you measured it in feet of track, it's feet of track wise, not even taking into account the scale. I think it's about 8 times the amount of track that I have had on the 00 gauge.
Yeah, that could just be maybe like a power issue itself. It might not just be the drop of wires. Obviously, you've got a much vaster area requiring a bigger draw of current, maybe. So that might be that sort of the power's not getting into the far reaches,
or the areas that are closer just are struggling because it's being sent elsewhere. I mean, technically, connection-wise, I can put my multimeter on the track, and it's telling me there's power and that there's a good connection there. But it's then when you take into account that, okay, my multimeter is not necessarily telling me how much stuff is getting all the way to the other end. So yeah, I think that's going to be my biggest problem, and it's a case of just finding the time to just sit down and do it.
That's why you should go with little layouts. I've learnt my lesson.
It's the thing that makes me surprised the most is that I don't have the issue with any sort of derailments like I've had on other layouts. Like the actual derailment side of it isn't an issue. The trains, when they're running, they go around. There's no problems. But it's just that something's
that's because they're running to scale accurate track, which means that they're not overcompensated in the weight on the top, which is making them have a larger envelope in how they move, which causes them to derail, as our O gauge would, because it's essentially standard gauge loco running on narrow gauge track. That's why you should model in TT120, people.
James said it, not me. What about you? So
I just made that up.
it sounded believable. So with you then, what's your biggest hurdle over the next sort of 6 months or so with these projects that you've got?
That'd be Master Leonard and wanting his TT120 being built.
See, TT always TT always finds a way.
It doesn't just.
So,
I
so
don't know.
if Lenny
It's-
wasn't around to, oh, that sounds really grim. If your son didn't need you to do anything to his layout, what do you think the biggest hurdle is going to be? Whether that's your 009, your 00, or something else that crops up.
I think I'm just going to, as I say, I'm going to focus on the 009. So it would just be, I probably need to work out the room, how I'm going to do the rooms, and then take it from there. And then, yeah, I want to work on the 009. It's been neglected for a while. It's a project I want to do. And I think it's apart from the exhibition videos, which I never really wanted my channel to be known for that kind of thing. I kind of wanted to be known for my modelling. So it's and originally it was known as a 009 channel. I tried before with the previous OO gauge builds, and I wasn't really getting any traffic or any look-ins. The first video might get like 1,000 views if I was, over time. Then everything else only hit like 300 or 400 views. But then I did the 009 and it rocketed up, and I was getting the hits. So I think that's what we're known for. And so I think that's the one I want to do, and it's the one I'm kind of working on. And as you know, I've got another project that I'm hoping to get off the ground related to the 009. So the more I can get built of that, the more useful it would be for the other project. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just getting around to doing it. I have so many ideas of what I want to do. I want to do this. I want to do that. It's we watched Joseph's Slice of Sodor episodes that he'd let us preview before he released them when he came on for the podcast. And he's got that lovely J70 tram. And all I've been thinking about ever since that is, where can I get a J70 tram from? And I've been Googling it and eBay and looking everywhere, and I can't find them. Like the tram packs are all sold out. Or so I thought. I happened to stumble across one today on Kerno. And I was like, how has that not turned up in any Google search? Have I got to bought that?
Kerno is like that, though. Kerno sometimes just comes up with weird little... Because I had the same thing with... Kerno's one of those weird places that sells Bachmann spares. And you had to really dig for it. But Kerno was one of the only places you can buy thumper body shells. So if you had one of the, like the BR Green thumpers, you could buy the Network Southeast thumper body shells off the Kerno website if you really wanted to. And it took me years to find out that existed. And then when I did, I was like, that could have saved so many people so many issues. But yeah, it doesn't come up in a Google search. Like if you searched thumper body shells, it wouldn't come up.
Yeah, it's very. I found it through the Google image search, because it was the other Great Eastern one, in the red sort of maroon livery one, which wasn't the one I wanted. But I was like, I'm after one, and that will do if I can't find the sort of golden teak in the blue livery. But I thought I'd just go back and have a look. So I sort of clicked on their web, had a look on their website, that one, and just clicked Rapido and then looked for the listings, and it was there. It was hidden in the listing. I was like, why hasn't that come up in the Google? But there we are. So, that's another one of mine. It's like, I've been seeing that. I was like, yeah, that'd be quite cool. This idea of doing little layouts. I could do a little layout with a tram loco, but I was like, I can run it on the Rail 200 if I want to. That's a small enough train that I can run it on there, because the whole purpose of that Rail 200 is it's London Brighton inspired buildings and colours, but I just called it Wood End as a generic name for a generic little light railway that I can run anything on. So I can run my industrial engines on it. I can run the London Brighton engines on it, the South Eastern Chatham, and now I've got this Great Eastern loco on the way as well. So my biggest challenge is putting a limit on myself, probably, or realizing that I don't have all that time until I win the lottery to do all these projects I keep having in mind to do. But we'll see. All it takes is a few million subscribers on YouTube that love watching you build model railways every week, and I'm sorted. It's just convincing the kids that watching Mr. Beast trap another 10 human beings for a week for his own pleasure it's not entertaining, and it's actually much more interesting to watch someone craft and skills and create their own miniature world and model railway. We can only hope and pray that the children will learn that this is the correct way to be. But until then, they'll continue watching people shout on Minecraft videos as they're being murdered. Well, it sounds like they're being murdered. I've never heard people get so worked up over a game. Oh my God, I've nearly died. But you play video games when we were a kid, all right? Play Sonic the Hedgehog with only 3 lives, yeah? See how far you get with that game. Then you'll know real frustration. When you can't get past the boss of Marvel's Zone 3, and you know there's at least another 9 zones to get through, then you'll know real frustration. But until then, there we are. So yeah, that's my problem.
I mean, that sort of, I feel like we've left it open-ended enough that we can easily come back to this. And at the same time, we've gone off-piste quite a bit. But hopefully those of you at home understand what we've got coming up project-wise, because I think that was the main intention of it. But actually, it feels like we've just sort of had a bit of a little bit of a complaint, but also just sort of going, well, here's what I've got coming up, and this is actually quite concerning to me, or this is an issue, or this is what I'm enjoying.
It's like a teenage girl's diary if she modelled trains. It's just what we've done, what we dream of doing.
And it's just got loads of I Heart Thomas in it as well.
That's it, yeah. Thank you.
I Heart GWR. SBJ 4 GWR forever. IDST. That's going to age a lot of people.
IKB forever.
Wait, what's it? Oh, I was like, what's IKB? I was like, that sounds very Soviet, but it's not.
No, it's a very stovepipe hat.
Yeah, very, very Portsmouth boy.
That's the one.
Yeah, I know the one.
Right,
Cool.
should we have a break and do
Yeah.
the exhibition diary?
Yeah, today's felt like a very weird episode, James. But thank you for the chat, and hopefully
we'll see if people like it, because we want to revamp. So maybe we could do like something like this every month. I don't know if people liked it or not. They usually tell us on Instagram.
Yeah, and please do. If you've enjoyed this and you found it quite informative, then let us know. Or if you found it quite slow,
I mean, if you found it boring, you're not here. You've obviously, but
you've abandoned the episode at this point, which is fine. You can do that. But yes, let's go and have a look at the exhibition diary.
You there? Oh, me? Do you like model railways? Yes, that's why I'm listening to the Model Rail Replacement podcast. Do you like comedy? No, that's why I'm listening to the Model Rail Replacement podcast. If you like model railways and comedy, head over to BugglesKellyStation.com. From Dad's Army to Will Hay, Laurel and Hardy to the island of Sodor. Add a comedy cameo to your model railway today. All right, thanks. Buggles Kelly Station. You won't be wasting your time.
right then, Sam. I think it's time to get the exhibition diary out. You're going to be very pleased. You're going to be very, very pleased.
Oh God, what is it?
Well, firstly, the Yorkshire group of the 16mm narrow gauge modelers are meeting on Saturday the 27th of September for the Yorkshire Garden Railway Show. This is at the Barrow Hill Roundhouse at Campbell Drive in Barrow Hill in Chesterfield, Derbyshire. Bit of an odd one for the Yorkshire lads to go to Derby, but okay. Bury St Edmunds Model Railway Club, the Great East Anglia Railway Show at Thurston Community College in Norton Road in Thurston, Bury St Edmunds in Suffolk. Here it is. You've been waiting for it.
Yeah, buddy, come on.
Crawley Signal Box Preservation Society.
Yeah,
Open
boy.
day event at the Crawley Signal Box in High Street, Crawley, West Sussex. I go past that box so many times when I'm visiting family down south. Never been in. It's open every month. You'd think I'd get the opportunity at some point.
I need to interrupt. I feel like, as far as in jokes go, I feel like we need to get a T-shirt that says "Take me to Crawley Signal Box."
We can buy that from the Merp shop in a few weeks' time when
Yep.
we remember to make it.
when I remember to tell Tom, please make it.
But we have to have a picture of the actual box on there. Or maybe just the name. We'll talk with Tom about it. Right. Brisbane District Model Railway Club, Haddenham Model Railway Exhibition 2025. This is the Haddenham Village Hall, Banks Road, Haddenham, Buckinghamshire. This one's from my dad. Saturday 27th, Kempston and District Model Railway Society Open Day at the Kempston East Methodist Church Hall, 227 Bedford Road, Kempston, Bedfordshire. So, Dad, you've got no excuse. I've told you what to do that weekend. Right, Victory Model Railway Club's Open Day at St James Church Hall in 287 Milton Road, Fratton, Portsmouth, Southsea, Hampshire. They are, Sam, something for you to do. The Loddon Vale, Loddon, apologies, here goes the appalling pronunciations. It's Loddon. That sounds like Loddon to me. It's like London, but with an extra D and no N. At Loddon Vale Model Railway Club Autumn Exhibition, St Peter's Church Hall at Church Roll in Reading, Berkshire. Saturday 27th, the Sedgefield Model Railway Group's 6th Annual Autumn Railway Exhibition has been cancelled, so don't bother going. Sheffield Model Railway Society, however, having a Model Railway Exhibition 2025 at the Grenoside Community Centre in Main Street, Sheffield, South Yorkshire. All weekend. So if you get down to the Crawley signal box, you can then pop down to this. The Saturday 27th and Sunday the 28th, Horsham Model Railway Club Autumn Exhibition 2025 at the Ashcombe School in Ashcombe Road, Dorking, Surrey. I was going to say down the road, but that's a bit further down the road getting to Dorking. Why would Horsham be in Dorking or whatever? Places. It's a bit of a trek to get from Horsham to Dorking. Hey, well, if you're in a car, you're fine. Right, Saturday 27th to Sunday 28th, Forest of Dean Model Railway Club's Lydney Model Railway Show 2025 at the Dean Academy in Church Road, Lydney, Gloucestershire. At St Albans and District Model Engineering Society at the Big St Albans Model Show, Townsend Church of England School, High Oaks and St Albans, Hertfordshire. Stafford Railway Circle Limited is having the Stafford Model Railway Exhibition at the Stafford County Showground at Western Road at Stafford, Staffordshire. Boston Model Railway Society is having the Boston Model Railway Exhibition at Stickney Village Hall, Hall Lane, Stickney, Lincolnshire. And the North East O Gauge is having an exhibition at the Nissan Sports and Social Club at Washington Road in Sunderland, Tyne and Wear. Worthing Model Railway Club annual exhibition has been cancelled. And if you are in the Leighton Buzzard area, you have the AGR Model Railway Store is having an open day on the 27th between 10 till 4. It's free entry with second-hand items, guest traders, layouts, manufacturers, bar and snacks. And this is at the Leighton Buzzard Conservative Club. And it is at 16 to 18 High Street, LU7 1EA if you want to go there. I believe Underground Eric will be having his layout there, so if you want an opportunity to go see that one in the flesh, head over to that one. There we are, then, Sam. That's the exhibition diary all done and dusted. There's only a thing left to do then, I suppose, is tell people how to find you. So how do people find Emperor's Path?
Well, if you want to get hold of me, you can find me on Instagram at Emperors_Path. You can find me on Facebook at Emperor's Path. You can find me on YouTube at Emperor's Path, and you can sometimes find me aimlessly walking around in a good little Southern boy t-shirt as well. James, how can we get hold of you?
Well, you can find me on YouTube as the Western Signalman, Instagram as the Western Signalman. Alternatively, you can always find us at the Model Rail Replacement Podcast on Instagram, usually where we mostly are. We do have Facebook. We don't usually really do that much. We have a YouTube channel. You must go there if you want to listen now, because we're not on our own channels anymore. And finally, if you need to email us, it's modelrailrp@outlook.com. That's all for this week then. Hopefully, we've been entertaining, informative, and have replaced your model railway, if only just for a little bit. I've been James, and with me has been Sam. Thanks for listening.
This service terminates here. Please ensure you take all of your personal belongings with you.
Hello, listeners. We've got some very exciting news. Do you want to be part of the podcast? Do you want to join the team? Well, an exciting opportunity has come up to allow you to be part of the Model Rail Replacement Podcast. And here's Sam with the details.
This episode is brought to you by Patreon. A huge thank you to our Patreons for their support. If you'd like to help support the show, you can head over to Patreon and search Model Rail Replacement Podcast, where you can show your support and be part of the team.
Hurry, there's unlimited places.